Well, it's supposed to be raining. So this is Magic of Marlinspike. I'm the Mad Maybe, your instructor slash pirate slash, yeah, jack of all trades, master of maybe a few. So we're going to go over our first knot today. That's going to be the reef knot, also known as the square knot by those that are stuck on land. And I wanted to go over a few pieces of rope working tools first before we go into that. What you see in front of you, this glorious assortment here, happens to be two fids. Small fid, large fid. And you're going, well, is he speaking with a speech impediment? No, it is fid. F-I-D, fid. These glorious tools are used in regular splicing work, and a splice is where you weave the rope back onto itself. This happens to be an example of an eye splice for a keychain, essentially. Here's another splice. This is whipping, if those of you are curious, and this is a plate, another type of knot work. So you can use fid for all of this work as well. Fids are really nice. You can get the proper size fid for the rope you're using. If you're using small rope, you use a small fid. If you're using, holy crud, oh my god, that's huge rope, you use a appropriately sized fid to do that as well. We flip the fid over, we'll see that it's kind of hollow, and what this allows you to do is to slip pieces of the rope either underneath another rope that's really tight, like if you're working and trying to do a splice, or you've got a really tight knot and you can still work a running end underneath a standing end. So that's what the hollow part is for. So these are fids. Once again, you can use them for rope work in general, and that's a combination of either doing knots and or splices. The other thing that you can still use for rope work is a nice setup like this. This is far more expensive, but for me it was well worth the price. So we've got a nice strong back knife. So good solid wide blade. It's really strong. It's nice and sharp. It doesn't have to be all that long. Even if I'm going through thick rope, I just take a little longer to cut it, and away I go. It's not serrated, so I get nice clean cuts, and that's what I'm looking for when I'm doing rope work. If I need to cut through rope during like a rescue or whatever, out comes the serrated edge. So yes, I do have multiple knives with different blades to meet specific needs. The right tool for the job. So we've got a really nice knife. Also within that sheath happens to be a traditional Marlinspike. Nice solid piece of tapered metal, really good for getting into tightly worked knots that are really tight and you're trying to open them up. Also, you can use this to pick through a rope to open up the rope itself if you're doing splicing work. So that's what this is laid out for. Some would say, oh wow, that looks like a huge needle. Well, the opening here, the eye, if you will, of the needle, is not truly an eye. This is an opening for shackles. Shackles are this piece. This is a shackle, and that is called a shackle key, the opening side. And you would stick this part of the shackle for the pin in that shackle eye, and then twist to open up the shackle. And then you could put it back in also to tighten up the shackle. That's what that opening is for. So, yay, multitude of tools. I've been doing this a while, so I do have a collection. That's not to brag. That is literally a problem because I enjoy rope work. I enjoy it so much, I have a selection, and this is not complete selection, of whipping twine. And this is what regular whipping twine looks like. You got different colors. This happens to be a brown. I like using this when I'm trying to blend in whipping into a hemp rope. This is nice, regular plain white, and I use this a lot for projects like the keychain here. This is bigger, and you use the bigger whipping twine when you get into bigger ropes. And then for the farm work, I have string that I've collected from feed bags. Yep, it does not have to be, oh my gosh, special. That's why on your material list, all I ask for you to get is whipping twine if you want to use whipping twine, or waxed dental floss. Waxed regular dental floss, not the tape, but the waxed dental floss will work really well as a substitute for whipping twine. The nail, the large nail, could substitute in for the Marlinspike. And yes, the ever popular scissors. I have a nice pair. I like using the scissors whenever I'm working with the twine. It makes it a lot easier to trim out. Instead of grabbing that really nice big knife, I can just grab the small scissors and away I go. In your case, you're wondering what all this fits in. It all fits into there. So that is how I keep things organized when I'm working on rope. And let's get to working on rope, because it's all nice and fine to talk about it, all the tools, but let's get why we're really here. So this is braided rope. It's about 1/4 inch in diameter. We've got two pieces of it. This is the outer sheath, if you will, and then there's an inner core. So this would be used combination of regular anchor line, if you will, but this was actually made for working what they call sheets. This helps control the sails on a sailboat, which is kind of appropriate because the reef knot was used to change the shape and size of a sail. So that our square knot is known as a reef knot, because when you change the shape, specifically when you're making the sail smaller, it's called reefing the sail. And this knot was used by sailors to help tie that sail in and keep it in place. And it's nothing more than two ends, two free ends. So you got, once again on our knots, you have what is known as the running portion. This is the part that does all the work. It's running around. We've got a standing portion, part that doesn't move in theory. And then we've got nice other parts of, well, this would be a bite or a bright, also known as a turn or a loop. And you're going back over itself. If I were to do an overhand knot, our running in goes over our standing. That is an overhand knot, or the start of it. And then you'd go underneath and pull it. That would be an overhand. What's an underhand knot? I'm glad you asked. Instead of the running going over, our running goes under, and then we pull it through the loop, and that gives us an overhand knot. So real quickie on that. I do my best not to go fast, but nice thing is this is a video, so you can rewind it. So here we go. We've got our two pieces of rope that we want to tie together so our sail doesn't go all over the place. And I was raised with an old saying for this. So we get our two pieces, they're coming and they're meeting each other. And the saying goes, and I'm going to do this in the hand, which means I'm going to do everything in my hand. I won't put it down. So here's my right hand, here's my left hand. The right goes over left, and we're going to have it go under. Then our left goes over our right, left over right, and you flip it under. And you tug each in equally, and there you go. That is a reef knot. Kind of a side profile, full on. So you can work this real tight, and it'll hold. The catch is it needs to be the same size line. Each piece has to be the same size. Ideally, each piece, each side, needs to be the same type of rope. That way you get the proper amount of friction to keep it in place. Well, let's come time to untie this thing. And we can work it really tight. And normally people would go, well, crap, I can't get the knot out. They're trying to do all this, and they're trying to pull it. Well, once a reef knot is tied and it's been put under a lot of strain, they usually are an absolute nightmare to get untied. Here's the trick. It's called capsizing. You're going to capsize the knot. So if you can get the knot and roll it over on its side, you're going to take one of the loops, either one, and you are going to push it into the rope itself, like so. When you do that, you release the forces binding up the knot up in here, and then it's easier to start working the rope through and loosening the knot up. And away you go. So that is called capsizing. And you can do that on various types of knots. This one happens to be the reef knot or the square knot. And once again, how to tie it. You're going to take your right hand and you're going to go over your left. You're going to go over and under. Then your left is going to go over right. It's going to go over, under, and back through. You're going to pull it nice and tight, called working a knot. And here we go. A nice square knot. And if the square knot's been put under a lot of strain, if you can roll the knot over to on its side, you're going to capsize it. So all you're going to do is you're going to take one of the loops, you're going to push it down, and that will loosen the knot up so you can push one of your ends through and untie it. So there we go. A little bit of maritime history, a little work on how to get a reef knot going. Everybody, you already know how to tie the reef knot, the square knot. You guys do. You just don't know it. For those that are wearing shoelaces or bootlaces, you are already using a square knot.